Adrian Volkov had built his entire empire on one rule. Never let anyone see your fear. He was feared across the city. Men lowered their voices when his name was mentioned. Business rivals disappeared from meetings after receiving a single phone call from him. But there was one person who had never been afraid of him. His wife, Elena. She had seen him wounded, exhausted, angry, and broken. She had stood beside him when everyone else walked away. Until the night she discovered his lie. Elena stood in the doorway of his private office, holding a folder against her chest. "Is it true?" she asked quietly. Adrian looked up. "What?" "That you met Victor last night." His expression changed for half a second. Then he lied. "No." Elena stared at him. She already knew the answer. She had seen the security footage. She had seen Adrian enter the abandoned warehouse. And she had seen Victor leave 20 minutes later. Her voice trembled. "You could have told me the truth." Adrian stood. "Elena, it's complicated." "No." She shook her head. "It isn't complicated. You lied." She placed her wedding ring on his desk. Adrian froze. "You lost me the moment you lied." Then she walked away. He didn't stop her. Not because he didn't love her. But because there was something he was terrified to tell her. Something that could destroy everything. Adrian remained in his office long after Elena left. He stared at the ring. His hands tightened around the edge of the desk. He could have told her the truth. But the truth wasn't simple. 3 weeks earlier, Adrian had discovered that someone inside his organization was secretly working against him. Money was disappearing. Private information was being leaked. And someone had been following Elena. The person behind it all was connected to Victor, Adrian's former right-hand man. Victor had betrayed Adrian years ago. Adrian had believed he was dead. He wasn't. And now Victor wanted something. Something Adrian could never give him. Adrian's empire. But there was another reason Adrian had kept Elena away from the investigation. Victor had discovered a secret about her. A secret even Elena didn't know. And Adrian was terrified that revealing it would make her hate him forever. His phone rang. Victor's voice came through. "You should have told her." Adrian's jaw tightened. "Stay away from my wife." Victor laughed. "She isn't your wife anymore." Adrian looked at the wedding ring on his desk. "She will be." Victor's voice became cold. "Not when she learns who her father really was." The call ended. Adrian went completely still. Elena drove to the small apartment she had kept before marrying Adrian. She had never told him she still had it. She needed somewhere that belonged only to her. She sat on the floor beside the window and cried for the first time. Not because Adrian had lied about Victor, but because she remembered every time she had trusted him. Every promise. Every late-night conversation. Every moment when he had told her, "I will never keep the truth from you." And now she knew that promise had been broken. Her phone buzzed. "Adrian." She ignored it. Another call. Ignored. Then a message. "I need to explain." Elena typed. "No. You needed to tell me the truth before I asked." She turned off her phone. Then she noticed something strange. A plain brown envelope had been pushed underneath her apartment door. There was no name on it. Inside was one photograph. It showed a young woman standing beside a man Elena had never seen before. On the back were 4 words. "Ask Adrian about your father." Elena's heart stopped. Elena stared at the photograph. The young woman was her mother. She recognized her immediately. But the man beside her. She had never seen him. Her father had supposedly died before she was born. At least, that's what her mother had always told her. Elena turned the photograph over again. Nothing else. She called her mother. No answer. She called again. Still nothing. Then someone knocked. Elena froze. Who is it? Silence. She moved toward the door. Another knock. She looked through the peephole. No one. She opened the door carefully. The hallway was empty. But another envelope lay on the floor. This one contained a newspaper clipping. The headline read, "Local crime figure disappears after secret deal with Volkov family." Elena's hands began shaking. At the bottom of the article was the man's name. Daniel Moretti. Her father's name. She whispered. That's impossible. Her phone suddenly rang. This time, she answered. Adrian's voice was urgent. Where are you? Why? Because Victor knows where you are. Elena's blood ran cold. How? Adrian didn't answer. She realized something. Adrian, what have you been hiding from me? His voice broke. Everything I was trying to protect you from. Adrian arrived 20 minutes later. Elena refused to let him inside. He stood outside her apartment door. Please. She opened it halfway. You have 5 minutes. Adrian looked at her. She looked exhausted. I found a photograph, she said. Adrian closed his eyes. You found out. You knew? Yes. For how long? 6 months. Elena's face fell. 6 months? I was trying to confirm the truth. You lied to me for 6 months. I was trying to keep you alive. She laughed bitterly. That excuse doesn't work anymore. Adrian reached into his coat and pulled out a folder. He handed it to her. Your father wasn't just connected to my family. Elena opened the folder. He was working with them. She looked up. Doing what? Protecting my father from an enemy who wanted to take over the city. Elena stared at him. And then? Adrian's voice became quieter. Your father disappeared because he discovered who the real enemy was. Who? Adrian looked directly into her eyes. I don't know. Then he added. But I know that person is still alive. Elena didn't forgive Adrian. But she agreed to hear everything. They sat in a quiet restaurant far from the city center. Adrian placed another file on the table. This is everything I found. Elena opened it. There were financial records, photographs, old addresses, and names. One name appeared repeatedly. Marcus Hale. Adrian explained that Marcus had been a powerful businessman decades ago. He had worked with Elena's father. Then he had betrayed him. But the file contained something worse. A photograph showed Marcus standing beside Victor. Elena looked at Adrian. Victor works for him? That's what I believe. Then why didn't you tell me? Because I wasn't sure. She closed the file. You should have trusted me. Adrian looked down. I was afraid. Elena's eyes softened slightly. Of what? He finally said it. Of losing you. She stared at him. You already lost me when you lied. Adrian nodded. I know. That night, Elena's car was followed. She noticed the black SUV behind her. She turned left. It followed. She turned again. Still there. Her hands tightened around the steering wheel. She called Adrian. Someone is following me. Where are you? She told him. Don't stop. I'm coming. 3 minutes later, another car appeared between Elena and the SUV. Adrian. He pulled alongside her. His security team surrounded the suspicious vehicle. The SUV sped away. Elena stopped at a gas station. Adrian rushed toward her. Are you hurt? No. He exhaled. Then Elena looked at him. You were right. Adrian nodded. Victor knows where you are. She swallowed. And now what? Now you stay with me. Elena shook her head. No. Why? Because I don't want protection from the man who lied to me. Adrian stared at her. She continued. I want the truth. He nodded. You'll get it. Adrian took Elena to an old house outside the city. It had belonged to his father. Inside was a hidden room. Adrian opened a locked cabinet. There was a single tape recorder. He pressed play. A man's voice filled the room. Elena immediately knew it. Her father. Adrian's father trusted the wrong people. Elena covered her mouth. Her father continued. If my daughter ever hears this, tell her I didn't abandon her. Tears filled Elena's eyes. I disappeared because they threatened her life. Adrian watched Elena silently. The recording continued. There is one person I never trusted. Marcus Hale. Then the recording stopped. Elena turned toward Adrian. My father knew him. Yes. And you knew about this? Yes. Why didn't you let me hear it? Because I was afraid you'd go looking for him. She whispered. Maybe I should. Adrian shook his head. Not alone. Marcus Hale lived in a mansion overlooking the ocean. He was older now. But he had lost none of his influence. When Victor entered his office, Marcus asked. Did Adrian tell her? No. Marcus smiled. He will. Victor frowned. And then? Then she'll come looking for answers. Victor asked. What about Adrian? Marcus looked toward the ocean. Adrian is predictable when it comes to Elena. What do you mean? He'll sacrifice everything for her. Victor smiled. Then we know exactly how to destroy him. Adrian received an invitation. A meeting with Marcus. He knew it was a trap. But Marcus included one sentence. Bring Elena, or you'll never learn what happened to her father. Adrian refused. Elena found the message. You're going. No. You're lying again. Adrian looked at her. This time I'm not. Then tell me everything. He did. Elena listened. Then she said. I'll go. Adrian immediately refused. Absolutely not. This is about my father. It is also about keeping you alive. Elena stepped closer. Then don't leave me alone. Adrian stared at her. For once, he didn't argue. He simply said. Stay beside me. Marcus welcomed them with a smile. Adrian. Marcus. Marcus looked at Elena. So this is Daniel's daughter. Elena's expression hardened. You knew my father? Marcus smiled. I knew him very well. What happened to him? Marcus poured himself a drink. He trusted the wrong man. Who? Marcus looked at Adrian. His father. Elena turned toward Adrian. Adrian's face remained calm. But Marcus continued. Your father believed Adrian's family betrayed him. Elena whispered. Is that true? Adrian shook his head. No. Marcus laughed. Still protecting her. Adrian stepped forward. Enough. Marcus smiled. You should tell her the truth, Adrian. Elena looked between them. What truth? Marcus said. Your father disappeared because Adrian's father ordered him killed. Silence. Elena looked at Adrian. Her heart shattered. Adrian didn't speak immediately. Elena stepped away. Tell me he's lying. Adrian finally answered. Your father wasn't killed. Marcus's smile disappeared. Elena froze. What? Your father escaped. Then why did everyone think he was dead? Because I helped him disappear. Marcus stood. You were a child. Adrian looked at him. My father wanted Daniel dead. I found out and warned him. Marcus's face became furious. You destroyed everything. Adrian replied. No. You did. Marcus reached for a weapon. Adrian's security moved instantly. Elena stepped between them. Stop. Marcus stared at her. You have no idea what your father did. Elena answered. Maybe not. She looked at Adrian. But I know who lied to me. Adrian lowered his eyes. She wasn't talking about Marcus. She was talking about him. Back at the hotel, Elena packed her bag. Adrian stood near the door. You're leaving? Yes. Where will you go? I don't know. He nodded. I understand. Elena stopped. You do? Yes. She looked at him. You always decide what is best for me. Adrian swallowed. I know. You didn't trust me enough to tell me the truth. I was afraid. And now? He looked at her. Now I'm terrified that I've lost you. Elena's eyes filled with tears. You should have been terrified before you lied. Then she walked out. Adrian didn't follow. He finally understood. Sometimes loving someone meant giving them the freedom to leave. Elena returned to her apartment. She opened the wooden box containing her father's old belongings. Inside was a second photograph. She had never seen it before. It showed her father standing beside Adrian's father. But behind them stood a third man. Marcus. On the back were handwritten words. If anything happens to me, protect Elena from the truth until she is ready. Elena stared at the sentence. Then she noticed something else. A small address. Her father's old cabin. She immediately understood. Her father might still be alive. Elena traveled to the cabin alone. She found the door unlocked. Inside was dust everywhere. But someone had been there recently. On the table was a fresh cup of coffee. Then she heard footsteps. She turned. An older man stood in the doorway. His eyes filled with tears. Elena. She couldn't breathe. Dad? He nodded. She ran into his arms. For the first time in her life, Elena understood why he had disappeared. He had been hiding from Marcus. And he had been protecting her. But he had one more warning. Marcus isn't the real enemy. Elena pulled away. Then who is? Her father looked frightened. Someone much closer to Adrian than you realize. Elena called Adrian. He answered immediately. Where are you? I found my father. Adrian froze. Is he safe? For now. What did he tell you? Elena hesitated. He says Marcus isn't the real enemy. Adrian's expression changed. Then who is? Her father stepped closer. Elena looked at him. He whispered a name. She repeated it. Victor. Adrian went silent. Adrian? His voice finally came. Get out of there. Why? Because Victor isn't working for Marcus. Elena's heart raced. He's been using Marcus. For what? Adrian looked at his security monitors. Me. Victor had been manipulating everyone. Marcus was merely a distraction. Victor had been the person leaking information from inside Adrian's organization. He had arranged the meetings. He had planted the evidence. He had even sent the photographs to Elena. His goal was simple. Make Adrian lose everyone he trusted. Then take control. Adrian confronted him. Why? Victor laughed. Because you always had everything. My father's approval. The empire. And Elena. Adrian's face hardened. You never loved her. No. Victor smiled. I knew you loved her. That was enough. Adrian stepped forward. You're finished. Victor replied. Maybe. He pulled out his phone. A photograph appeared. Elena. Adrian's blood ran cold. He knew Victor had taken Elena. But Victor made one mistake. He underestimated Elena. She had hidden a small tracking device in her father's old watch. Adrian found the location. He arrived with his team. The confrontation was tense but brief. Victor was arrested. Marcus surrendered after realizing his entire operation had collapsed. And Elena was finally safe. When Adrian saw her, he stopped. He didn't run toward her. He waited. Elena looked at him. You came. I always will. She shook her head. That's not enough anymore. I know. She stepped closer. I don't need a man who protects me by lying. Adrian nodded. I know. I need someone who trusts me with the truth. He looked into her eyes. I will. Weeks passed. Adrian didn't ask Elena to return. He didn't pressure her. He simply kept his promise. Every morning, he sent one message. Good morning. I hope you're okay. Nothing more. One evening, Elena finally called. Are you busy? Adrian smiled. Never for you. She laughed softly. I want to talk. They met at the same restaurant where they had shared their first dinner. Elena sat across from him. I don't know if I can forget what happened. You shouldn't. I don't know if I can trust you immediately. You shouldn't. She studied him. Then what do you want? Adrian answered honestly. A chance to earn it again. Elena looked down. Then she smiled. One chance. Adrian nodded. One is enough. Months later, Elena stood beside Adrian on the balcony of their home. The city stretched beneath them. You know, she said, there's still one thing you never told me. Adrian looked at her. What? Why were you really so afraid to tell me the truth? He remained silent. Then he reached into his pocket. He pulled out a small envelope. Inside was a letter. Written years earlier. By Adrian. If Elena ever leaves me, I will know it was because I failed to become the man she deserved. Elena looked at him. You wrote this before we were married? Yes. Why? Because I knew loving you would be the most important thing that ever happened to me. She smiled sadly. And yet you lied. I did. He didn't make excuses. He simply took her hand. I can't change the lie. No. But I can change the man who told it. Elena looked into his eyes. You're still afraid. Adrian nodded. Of what? He whispered. Losing you again. She stepped closer. Then don't give me another reason to leave. He smiled. I won't. For the first time in months, Elena rested her head against his shoulder. The city lights reflected in the windows. And Adrian finally understood something his power had never taught him. You can survive losing money. You can survive losing power. You can even survive losing an empire. But losing the person who believed in you before anyone else did. That is the one loss no empire can replace. Elena looked up at him. You lost me the moment you lied. Adrian nodded. And you found me again when you finally told me the truth. She smiled. Then let's never lie to each other again. He kissed her forehead. And this time, there were no secrets between them.